Good morning, everyone. This is Luciana Turner of the LT&A company, bringing you this morning's Tidbit, 5 minutes of actionable information designed to point you in the direction you need to go. I'm your Chief Compliance Officer and Chief Strategist. The LT&A company provides government contracting, consulting, and training services to companies entering and operating within the government contracting space. I'm going to give everybody just a few more seconds to enter the room and to join us this morning. If you're here, please drop a message so I can acknowledge your presence. If you're catching this by the replay, do hashtag replay so I can acknowledge you came by. Yesterday, I spoke on compliance and I defined it as operating within the rules and regulations of the industry upon which you're working in. As a government contractor, depending upon whether you contract with civilian or military entities, you're bound by CAS A and FAR. If you're just working with civilian, you're only bound by CAS. Everybody is bound by GAAP. Government contractors are bound by something called GAGAS, which is just GAAP plus more. And then you have the actual rules and regulations of the industry you work in, such as if you're a CPA, you're bound by the boards of the National Accounting Association. I know that's not the name, but right this morning that's going to be the name. You're also bound by the the peer review system. So compliance is essentially adherence to the applicable rules governing your organization, governing your line of work. The government has something called disclosure statements, which is basically the government's version of a business operations plan. And that tool is utilized to determine your compliance. And the disclosure statement is where you tell the government exactly what you do and how you do it. And the compliance audits just ensure that you do it that way each time you do it without deviation and with operating within the confines of the rules of your industry. Now, back in 2007, there's been some upheaval and changes in government contracting, and there's a few more on the way as well. But back in 2007, when I entered compliance, there was this big upheaval because there used to be a concept called compliance in parts. That was when a contractor was deemed to be non compliant, but because the non compliance did not cause a material harm, you were deemed compliant in part. And somebody finally said that is the craziest designation this side of creation. You're either doing it right or you're not. You're either doing it or you're not. There's no such thing as partial compliance. And I'm sharing this story with you for this to make this point. There are a lot of those operating a business who are compliant in part. They're just a pure plum accident that they are compliant. But there's that other part of your business that just isn't doing what it's supposed to do. Your operations aren't set up properly. Your accounting is slipshod at best. But because there has been no material effect, it's been allowed to go on without repercussion. I present to you this morning, if you continue these non-compliance, the materiality will eventually become such that it will cost you more in time, in material, in effort, in money to correct it than if you just take a stop and do the correction now or you implement now. Compliances are expensive, and the expense can be calculated in various different ways: monetarily, image, your team having to fix it. So I suggest take a moment and review your systems and check for your compliances and your non-compliances. And if you don't know how, reach out and partner with a consultant such as myself who can perform these accounting and these compliance reviews to ensure your compliance. I'm a little over my time this morning, so I'm going to end the thought right there. Join me tomorrow for our next installment or our next edition of Morning Tidbits. Have a great day and be strategic, but be good to yourself so that you can be good to others.